get on the zigs.
Whoa.
Right, tip number one for your zig fishing is
We're using a weed.
basically trying to stimulate a reaction from a fish. We're back on a bank. I'm back in the Cotswolds. I'm on Horcott Lake. Now, I was here a little while back, maybe about a month and a half ago, and I did 24 hours, ended up catching some fish on zigs, sort of recasting regularly and trying to get a reaction from the fish. And I managed to catch a lovely brace of 20 pounders, one mirror, one common, and I was absolutely chuffed with it. Now, I've since been out again zig fishing, but I didn't actually document it because it was a very short session and I didn't really have much time, but I did manage another couple of doubles, which was a nice little result. So the zigs have been working really well up on here. Now, I've fished zigs loads in the past. I've caught loads of fish on them and I have got a lot of confidence in them, and there's definitely certain situations where they really can work better than bottom baits. Now, I find a lot of people don't have any confidence in them, so if you're looking for some confidence in your zigs, then this might be the kind of video for yourself. And I give you my sort of top tips for how to use them and how to get the best out of them. Now, if this sort of thing takes your fancy, then please subscribe to the channel and also check out this social media shown at the bottom of the screen now. But anyway, I need to make a bit of a recast because that is one of the most important things really, is being as active as possible when fishing zigs. So I'm going to just wind them in, rechuck them, and then we'll have a little bit of a chat about what I find is the best sort of things to do when fishing zigs to get yourself some more bites. So let's get into the video. I got here quite late last night, about half an hour or so before dark, and yeah, I had a good sort of nose around. Spent quite a lot of time in the swim to my left as it commands a good view of the lake, and I saw what looked like a fish show out in this swim that I've dropped into. This is swim number 2, which is just to the right hand side of the car park, and essentially I just sent out 3 zigs out towards where I saw the fish show and left it at that really. I didn't have a lot of options really looking around. It was dark within sort of half hour of getting here. There seemed to be a few guys dotted around the lake, so as I'd seen a fish show in the car park, I thought, well, why not give that a go? I've not really fished out of this area before, so I thought something a bit different, and I've seen a fish, so got to be worth a shout, hasn't it? So that's what I did, just sent 3 zigs out, and we were fishing. So I've got up this morning quite early and I've just been watching the lake from just after first light, and I haven't actually seen anything show at the moment. Now, I'm going to fish maybe till late morning, so it's just going to be a case of keeping my eyes on the lake, recasting the zigs and hoping I can fall in front of a fish and maybe get an opportunist bite with a zig. So that's the plan of attack for the next sort of few hours. It is a very short session, but fingers crossed something happens and we can have one. So I'm going to get these rods reeled in, get them recast with some fresh zigs, put a bit of the old sticky sweet on them and see if we can get ourselves a bite. So let's get that done and I will catch up with you in a bit. Right, tip number 1 for your zig fishing is be organised. So I think one of the reasons people don't like zig fishing or don't find themselves very efficient at it is because there's a lack of organisation. If you look at people's tackle box in terms of fishing on the bottom, they've probably got multiple different rigs tied up ready to go, so that whatever situation you're faced with, you've got your favourite rig for that situation ready to go so you can get it out in the pond. But what I see with people when it comes to zig fishing is they tie a zig up as and when they think they're going to try one. And I think the problem with that is there's less chance of you using them, and also you're fishing very ineffectively. What I tend to do is, if I've got a bit of time, I'll prep a load of zigs. You know, if I'm out fishing, I've got a bit of downtime, I'll get some zigs prepped and get them all tied up, varying different lengths, and I'll store them in my zig box. And this is my zig box right here. So this is actually a sea fishing sort of rig winder for your traces, but it's absolutely perfect for zig rigs. Inside of it, you've got multiple different coloured discs, and those different coloured discs I actually use to correspond with different lengths of zig rigs. So, for example, a green is a 12 foot, blue is a 10 foot. I think the red's a 3, which I use for my adjustable zigs. Yellow's a 6, for example. So I've just got varying colours covering different depths of water, and then I can sort of trim them down and adjust them if I need to. In there, I've also got my adjustable floats for my adjustable zig fishing. A few spare bits of foam, a few spare bits of bobs in there if I need them, and then I've got my lovely little pot of glugged up foam and plastics for fishing my zigs. Now, I don't always flavour them, but I've got them there for when I need them, so everything's nice and organised and up together. And actually, this zig box, well, it's not a zig box, but I call it my zig box, is actually 12 inches long. So it's actually a foot long, which means that I can also use it to measure the zigs. So when I'm tying them, I can use this to measure them off, and then I know that I'm going to get the perfect length zig to fish out at whatever depth I need. So staying organised is definitely one of the things you need to be doing, and you need to be getting yourself prepped, ready for your zig fishing, because if you ain't got yourself prepped and you're not ready to do it, you're probably going to sack it off. So get organised and get on the zigs. Tip number 2 is going to be the awesome PVA foam. Now, I don't use PVA foam a lot in my fishing, but I do when I'm fishing with zigs. Now, the reason for that is, for example, this venue is quite weedy, and it's probably going to be weed up in the water, sort of bits and pieces sort of floating around mid layers, and because of that I want to know that the hook bait is sitting absolutely perfect when I send it out there. Now, I tend to recast zigs quite frequently, which does help the situation, because more than likely it's only going to be out there for half an hour to an hour before I bring it in and reposition it and put a fresh one on. But what I find is PVA foam is absolutely perfect for giving you that confidence that your rig is sitting absolutely bang on. So what I do is I just use 2 pieces of foam, and I just lay the hook bait on top of one, put the other piece of foam on top of it, lick each corner and just stick it down. It's basically like a little sandwich, a little PVA sandwich. And what that means is the hook isn't actually embedded in any foam, it's nice and free, and as soon as that foam breaks down, it's going to pull off either side of it, and they're going to float up in 2 separate pieces to the surface. Now, it gives you a bit of a sight marker, so you know exactly where it is. You also know it's presented well because the foam's broken away and left the hook bait on its own nice and free. And it gives you that confidence it's not going to pick up any bits of debris, any weed or anything like that on its way down, and that you're going to have a lot more confidence that it's going to be fishing really, really effectively. So definitely get on the PVA foam. It's a brilliant bit of kit, and something that I think you should probably be getting into your fishing. Tip number 3 is be active and be mobile. I don't just mean moving around the lake and fishing different swims in different areas. Yes, that is definitely important, especially if you see fish. So as always, location is going to be key, but what I mean is more, once you're in the swim, once you're fishing, be active with what you're doing. So don't just chuck out 3 zigs and just sit on your hands, start drinking some tea and watching YouTube videos. That's not going to catch you any fish. It's not going to work in your favours. What you want to do is you want to recast every 30 minutes, every half an hour. Just try different sort of time intervals. Just keep sort of moving the baits around, trying different areas of your swim, moving them different sort of distances from the bank, fishing at different ranges, try fishing at different depths, try varying the colour of the zig hook baits, for example, try some different flavours. Just basically vary everything and just try and work through the swim and fish it as active as you can. Now, 9 times out of 10, most bites I've had on zigs come very quickly when I've put them out. I mean within an hour I've probably had a bite if I'm going to get one, and I think it's because it's a very active sort of way of fishing, or sorry, a reactive way of fishing. You're basically trying to get them to react to that hook bait. It's a bit like lure fishing. So if you were walking around fishing for some pike, you would be casting around loads of different areas, keep sort of thrashing the water, you know, just sort of working that lure back, changing the lures themselves, trying to sort of try different baits, like different sort of actions within that lure. You're basically trying to stimulate a reaction from a fish to smash that lure and give yourself a bite. That's kind of what you're doing with zigs. You're trying to get a reaction from the fish that makes them snaffle it and give you that bite. And that is basically how I fish them when I'm fishing them singly on their own, like single hook baits. I'm just trying to dot them around the swim, fish loads of different water, fish different depths, and just try and find the fish. And it's definitely going to get you more bites. So that is my tip 3, is be active and try and get a reaction from them.
Whoa. Well, he's in the weed. Oh, yes. Oh. Right, the rods are still fishing. It's about 11 o'clock or so now, and I am still fishing. I will turn the camera around. Boom. So I was planning to be on the road by now, but I've had a take. Unfortunately, I lost it in the weed. So yeah, a bit frustrating, but right hand rod out into one of the gaps amongst the weed on a zig, went tanking off, absolutely blasted off while I was on the phone to my dad. It unfortunately kited around under some of the floating weed, and there was also some floating weed back up the main line, and I think that pressure from that weed on the main line unfortunately caused the fish to be able to shake the hook off. So yeah, it did drop off quite quickly into the fight, if I'm honest, but nice to get a bite. Shame it dropped off, but I'm going to get on the move now anyway. So hopefully you've enjoyed the video. Hopefully the tips have been helpful. Would have been nice to get a fish in the video, but the one bite I did have dropped off, so what can you do? But nice to actually get a bite and show that it does work. So hopefully you found it enjoyable. If you have, please subscribe to the channel. Check out the social media shown at the bottom of the screen now, and until next time, get out there, have a few, enjoy your fishing, and I'll see you in the next video.